Net neutrality is officially repealed. June 11th was the date that was set forth for the Title II regulation set forth by previous FCC Commissioner Tom Wheeler that would, in essence, guarantee net neutrality. Now it's pretty wide open for a lot of bad things to happen. I want to say this right off the top. We talk about net neutrality a lot, people are outraged a lot, and there is going to be some fatigue. And that is what a lot of these larger ISPs who benefit from the repeal of net neutrality are counting on. This happens often. I mean, June 11th is the official date. It has passed. But what we're looking at now is not the immediate dismantling of what it means to have a free internet where different information is treated equally. It's going to happen gradually. Right. It's going to happen as heat wears off, as people's outrage ebbs, as people, or flows, as people stop paying attention to it. But it's going to happen.
Right, so there's a way to say, like, people have done a relatively good job of making this a hot button issue, of calling attention to it. And because of that attention, we weren't able to stop the repeal of net neutrality, but we are able to force these ISPs and telecoms not to make any sudden movements, because the last thing they want to do is prove us right, even though we are right. Like 8 in 10 Americans do not support what just happened. 80% of us think this is a bonkers idea because there's no good reason to repeal net neutrality. There are only terrible, nefarious, bad reasons.
There are reasons to repeal it, but they really only help a few. They only help the larger ISPs be more profitable in some ways.
Right, but there are reasons to do it. There's no good reasons.
Right, because this does hurt smaller businesses, and it does hurt most people who would buy internet service. So this, of course, happened after a 3-2 vote along party lines. Jessica Rosenworcel, who is an FCC commissioner, who is a dissenter, of course, had this to say. Plain and simple, thanks to the FCC's rollback of net neutrality, internet providers have the legal green light, the technical ability, and the business incentive to discriminate and manipulate what we see, read, and learn online. We won't stop today. It's too important, and our future depends on it. And this is, I mean, we're not just making this up. In the past, there have been a few instances where ISPs did play dirty, and by play dirty, I mean incentivize their own services that they can profit off of and push back any kind of competition. AT&T once tried to block its subscribers with iPhones from using FaceTime unless they paid an extra premium. Comcast used covert technology to limit users from accessing peer-to-peer sharing networks. And Verizon has blocked texts from a pro-choice organization to supporters. There have been instances where these companies have tried to filter what you see, whether it is for their own benefit, but clearly for their own profit. And we have ideas of what it could look like in the future. What my hope is if people are so loud about this and make a big deal about it, that they will probably back down. But an idea of what you could do to incentivize purchasing on your own network and quash your competitors is to do something like this. So here's an example of how tiered pricing could work, or perhaps you can even consider this throttling for paying for different amounts of packs with access to different kinds of networks that we would mostly consider essential. I mean, you have Netflix, you have YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Twitch, Snapchat, Uber. These are things that we would all use right now without a second thought. But what if you had to choose?
Right, and a lot of those services, for example, Spotify, already have a subscription fee that are baked into it. This would add an extra layer of cost for you to have access to Spotify, for the ability to pay your subscription fee to use Spotify.
I mean, also in this ruling, there was an ability to, they'll be free to collect and share consumer data. After another Obama-era privacy ruling was dismantled, providers no longer have to ask for explicit permission before viewing, sharing, or using data, which could be very profitable and opposed to your best interests or your own privacy.
Right, and there's a reason it's 80% of people that are against this policy, because to say protect people's privacies, that's a super conservative thing to say. And there's so many more reasons that everyone is against this, and the only reason that it happened is because of sweetheart insider deals within the curtained off areas of our government.
Some states are fighting back. As of now, Washington has rules in their state that forbid different ISP providers that won't obey the 2015 rules from doing business there. There are different ways. We still have Congress. I mean, this may not even help us get the point through, but at least it makes politicians make definite stands and makes us incentivized to also vote them out if necessary. Audience, will we get net neutrality back in earnest? Please let us know your thoughts on Facebook and Twitter.